Would you look at me in a YouTube video actually talking to you? Today I'm going to go for a paddle around the estuary down near my house. I'm going to be doing it with a paddle that I haven't used before as well. Tony from Adventure Kit has been kind enough to loan me a couple of pieces of kit to try out. One is a EastPole paddles ISIGAA, ISIGAA. Anybody from Greenland is just going to hate me for that. But it's a bit of a different paddle in that the loom on the paddle, the actual handle that you hold on to, is diamond shaped, so it encourages good paddle form. Now, a lot of people paddling with Greenland paddles for the first time will try and use them like a Euro blade, and they'll put it in at their feet and they'll take it out at the seat, and that's totally wrong. You actually put it in near enough to your knee and you bring it out way behind you, but the blade should almost be entirely invisible from the front because they're hunting blades after all. So it's going to be interesting to see if the diamond shaped loom on the blade does actually encourage good paddle form or if it doesn't. And he's also loaned me a couple of toolics as well. So one of them is from Naughty Raid. I've used that already extensively when I was coaching with Stay Salty with James and Ichi, and it did keep me really warm, and it did keep the water out of the kayak. And also he's loaned me one from Rebel as well. I think both of them are made by the same company, Brooks, who are a very good toolic maker. So it's going to be interesting to see what the difference between the Rebel one and the Naughty Raid one is. So I'm going to go for a bit of a paddle. It's about 7.5 kilometers around, and then sure, we'll see what happens. So I probably couldn't have picked a worse day to come down here and go rolling. We've had storms for the last week, big northeasterly winds, and a lot of rain. And on top of that, we've had a lot of runoff in the rivers. So the rivers are running off down here. There's 2 rivers running into this and the sea. So it is the brownest I've ever seen it. It's disgusting. Lovely. And I plan on rolling in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paddle over to the far side and hope that it's clear and I can get some rolls in and see what it actually looks like. Get a good roll on with the paddle and test out the toolic. Be interesting to see how we go. What do I think so far? I've done a kilometer or so, and the paddle strokes with the wooden blade, as somebody who normally paddles with carbon fiber blades, is interesting. You get a lot more feedback from the blade itself if you're doing anything wrong. For a start, you can hear it. So what's happening sometimes if my paddle stroke is wrong is, first of all, I'm getting irritation inside here on my thumb, which is definitely encouraging me to do it properly, because of the wood. So I can feel the grain of the wood, and I can feel this corner on the blade itself or on the end of the loom. Another thing that's happening as well is if my paddle stroke is wrong, so it should be almost completely invisible from the front as you put the stroke in. But what's happening sometimes is that if my stroke is wrong, I can hear the cavitation. So it's air bubbles from the blade where the water doesn't really know what way to go as it passes over the blade. It's being split 2 directions rather than one, and you get these air bubbles like an eddy behind the blade, and you get this cavitation, and it's a bit weird. It's not something I've ever felt before with a carbon fiber blade, but it definitely does give you feedback. So that's an interesting one for the first kilometer in. I have been paddling correctly though, because it has been encouraging me to paddle correctly, because I don't want to end up with blisters on the inside of my thumb. So if you can see this and you can hear it, I'm paddling at the moment like a Euroblade stroke, and paddling with a Euroblade stroke, I can definitely hear it and I can definitely feel it. This cavitation behind the blade, where the air bubbles and where the water's passing around and coming back and meeting itself almost like an eddy. So I I'll try and put a diagram into the video. I'm not great at editing video, but we'll give it a go. And what happens is the air is passing around both sides of the blade, so both different tips, and it's kind of meeting itself in a whirlpool effect behind the blade, which gives this noise. It's almost like scraping the blade through sand, and it is that cavitation. If I paddle correctly and the blade is almost entirely invisible from the front, it doesn't happen. Beautiful, beautiful, long, very clear strokes with no noise. The diamond angle on the loom definitely does encourage good paddle posture, really good paddle form. The not having shoulders thing is new for me, because I always paddled with a blade with shoulders on it, so I know where my hands are supposed to be. So getting used to a new position and making sure that the blade is actually even on both sides is kind of a feel thing, which is something that I haven't done before. And I've been paddling with Greenland paddles for a good 6 years, but it's an interesting one.
I wish I could stop time and stay in this moment, never think about going. Won't you stay with me for a little while? Stay in this moment, never think about going. Won't you stay with a while?
Okay, so I've switched back across to my Kayak Sport Inuksuk carbon fibre blade. Now, the first thing I noticed when I picked it back up was it feels really slippery compared to the wood grain on this, where it's a lot textural and you definitely know it's in your hand, to this where it feels very slippery, just because of the fact that it's relative to what I was at the being holding. This is an impartial review. This is an impartial kind of me trying that blade out for the first time, and this has been my go-to blade for over a year, and I've been paddling with it for over a year, and it has shoulders. So you see the shoulders here where I know where my hand is supposed to be all the time, and the groove on the side of the blade is, or the edge of the blade here is where my knuckles should be. So my thumb and forefinger come to the gap, or come to the shoulders, and I already know my hand position is correct. So it's a bit of a difference. It's a significant difference actually from this to the ISIGAA blade from EastPole, because of the shoulder difference and the textural difference as well, which is something that I wasn't expecting to be such a big deal. Good though. It's definitely good to get a feel of two different things, completely different. Will I be switching? Nearly Christmas. Okay, so I'm going to try and get back across to the sailing club and get into the car before the rain starts. So what do I think? I like it. It was a bit unusual at the start because of the texture of it. So I almost felt like I was going to get blisters inside my thumbs, or I was going to get splinters or some sort of a friction burn, because it felt so completely different and there's so much texture on it. Do I like it? Yes. It's a lovely blade. It really does encourage good paddle form, making sure that you plant the blade in the right place and making sure that you follow through with it and you bring it out in the right place. It definitely encourages to hold it properly and to push rather than pull. So with a Greenland blade, you should be pulling your knees up and kind of crouching into the paddle stroke to get a really strong paddle stroke. instead of driving off foot pegs and trying to rotate, and it definitely encourages that as well. So if you do it wrong, like a European paddle stroke, you can hear that cavitation, you can see it feels weird, and I'm not getting the load of the blade into the water at all. But if I do paddle properly and I put it in at the right angle and bring it out way behind me and push down on the blade as I make the paddle stroke, you can definitely feel it finds its own way in the water, and it is effortless. Will I be switching to a wooden blade? You never know. I have to talk to Tony. Christmas is only around the corner. Seagulls laughing at me. Okay, so what did I think? The blade, for a start, I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. Initially, the loom was a bit weird when I was paddling with it. Now, I did have it in the pool on Monday night, so I had it in my hands before. I have paddled with it kind of before, if you can consider a rolling session in the pool, actually paddling with it. But initially, when I start paddling it here, and when I put the first kilometer in, anytime I paddled wrong, it encouraged me to paddle right, because I knew from the feedback through the loom that I was paddling wrong. So if you're somebody getting into Greenland paddling, it is an ideal paddle for you. Absolutely ideal, because it will make you paddle correctly. If you're paddling wrong, you'll get all this weird feedback off it, and you will know that you're paddling wrong. If it feels like it's gliding through the water, then you're doing it correctly. The diamond shape definitely does help. It massively impacts your paddle stroke, because you do have to grip the paddle properly, you do have to hold it in the right place, you do have to drive your hand forward and lean forward into the stroke, which is another thing that's different between Greenland paddling and Euroblade paddling. You don't twist, you lean onto it. What else? There was a lot of stuff. The bone edge tip is really cool, especially if you're going to be rock hopping, if you're going to be in anywhere close. The texture of the wood is nice, it feels nice. It's one of those things, because it's a wooden blade, you're going to have to look after it. I think the rule is, for the first week you get it, you have to oil it once a day, and then it's once a week, and then it's once a month, so that the blade is kind of wet through with oil, so that it's protected from the inside out. And then it's once a year or something. I don't know the actual rules, go and Google the rules. But it being a wooden blade, the texture is lovely, it feels lovely in your hand, and yeah, it's a cool blade. The Toolik I can't really review, because I didn't roll. I was warm, I was extremely warm. After that first kilometer, I was extremely warm. The sun was on my back, I'm in a black dry suit, I had a black PFD on and a black Toolik. Even though I didn't have the hood up, the hood was still bunched up around the back of my neck. Not that I felt it was bunched up or anything like that, but I knew it was behind me. So my neck was well insulated, and I was warm. I was extremely warm. So it was definitely a day for rolling, but the water is silty and mucky and horrible, and it's full of all sorts of debris from rushing down off the rivers and stuff like that, broken trees and stuff. So it wasn't the day for rolling for me, but definitely it will be over the next week, and I'll be rolling in Howth in both of the Tooliks to compare them, because I know that rolling with the Naughty Raid one was absolutely fantastic. So now I have to go and cut this video, and God knows what it's going to end up looking like, but it's a video. Would you look at me in a YouTube video talking to you for a change? So today I am going to go for a bit of a paddle on the estuary near my house. Get rid of the belch that was in there.